Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. As you guys can see, today I'm actually gonna do something different. I'm gonna do a story time. I used to do a lot more sit downs, so I thought today it would be fun to do a sit down and to actually talk about this story time because, you know, I never talked about it because I just feel like I love sharing my life on the internet. I love talking about just everything, but I also feel like if something is scary, is important, or is an emergency, my first instinct is not to pick up the camera. I feel like I just kind of deal with it and then I may talk about it after. So this actually happened, I want to say maybe 2 years ago, and I never even talked about it on my channel. I never brought it up because it was such a scary time in my life and I cried so much. So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into today's story time. So like I was saying, this actually happened about 2 years ago, starting from the beginning. I want to say this started around March 2018 or April 2018. I don't really have the paperwork anymore. Which is sad because I kept it for a long time and I wanted to talk about it. Ooh. Okay, continued. So I did keep it for a while and then it just, you know, I don't want to say it disappeared, but I think I threw it out. So when I was, and I'll definitely insert pictures, I've had this green mark ever since I was born. It was on my left shoulder and I've had it forever. So I never really seen a concern. We never were concerned because I was born with it. I love the fact that my skin was like bluish green. As you can see, I'll insert a picture. And for that simple reason, I'm like, who has blue skin? Like, who has green skin? Like, no one. So I was just like, this is so amazing. Like, I'm never gonna remove it. But in high school, my mom actually got kind of concerned. Especially because I was spending a lot of time outside in the sun, like running track and stuff. So my mom was actually like, Ashley, let's just go get it checked out. So at the time I had Kaiser and this was like my childhood doctor. So she checked it out, she measured it. She said, as long as it's not growing or as long as it's not hurting, she's like, honestly, I really wouldn't see any concern because to her, it looked like, I don't want to say a blood clot, but there's some type of name. It's basically a cluster of blood that can kind of form into a ball. And that's kind of what she basically thought it was. And she just kind of was just like, you know, as long as it's not growing or anything, she's like, I wouldn't, you know, wouldn't be concerned. So fast forward to, I was obviously like 23 at the time. I just had turned 23. Gia is 3 years old and my arm actually started to not only, they would have put some respect on my video, I'm just kidding. It actually started to not only like hurt, but it was starting to grow. And sometimes it would like be big and then at other times it would kind of be big like this. And then at other times it would like deflate like this. So I actually started to get really concerned because I'm like, oh my God, it's changing. Like, this is not good. And you know, me and my anxiety, I'm like, oh my God, you have cancer. I don't want to be funny about it, but I automatically went there. So I was like, yeah, actually I really need to go get this checked out, especially because my doctor told me, you know, years ago, like if it starts to grow, if it starts to hurt, you need to go in. And the time had come. So I went to my doctor's office and she kind of said the same thing. Oh, it looks like a cluster, you know, there's a name. If I remember it, I'll put it on the screen, or if I find it on the internet, I'll put it on the screen. And that's kind of what she thought it was. I think she said that as well, but then she also thought that this was like cartilage that, I don't know, just kind of formed. These are all just allegations of what my doctor kind of thought it was. So she was just like, this is very big though. She was like, I've never seen the name of this cartilage or blood clot type of thing. She was like, be so big, like this is really big. So she was like, honestly, she's like, I'm gonna go ahead and have you go to this ultrasound. It's like an ultrasound place. And she was like, you know, I want them to do like an ultrasound and kind of look at it and see if there's, you know, anything cancerous or just anything that's just not healthy in there or could be cancerous or whatever the fact it is. So she was like, I'm gonna go ahead and send you over there to get it done. So at that moment I was just like, oh my God, like I'm terrified, I'm scared, right? So I pull up it's like a week or two later, I pull up to this place, you guys, and the name is Diagnostic Radiological Imaging. But for some reason, when I heard radiology, I thought of radiation. I thought of like, I don't know, like I just went there and I literally started bawling. I'm like, she's sending me to like a fucking cancer patient like center. So I was like, obviously she thinks it's cancer. Like, girl, I went in there and I was crying, filling out my paper, crying. Like, mind you, the lady at the desk wasn't even nice. Like, this girl didn't even check up on me. She wasn't even like, are you okay? Not that she has to, you know. That's the people pleaser in me. I'm like, this bitch ain't even gonna ask me if I'm cool. Like, so I'm literally bawling, like I said, filling out my paperwork, and I go in, I'm still crying, and I told the lady who's doing my ultrasound, I'm like, I am so sorry. I don't, like, I have no idea what this is, and I'm terrified. Like, I have a daughter, and I'm just really scared. Like, I apologize if I just keep crying. And she was like, you have no reason to apologize. She's like, it is okay. And she like literally held my hand. She's like, it's gonna be okay. And she was like, we all get all types of bumps, scrapes, and she said bumps and lumps in our life, and we're just here to make sure that we, you know, it's okay, and then we can remove it. And I just remember her saying that to me, and I was just like, damn sis, you're right. Like, we do, like, we have all these moles and all these things on our back, and we just have to make sure, you know, that we're taking accountability. And so shout out to her. I don't remember her name, but I just remember her holding me and being like, it's gonna be okay. Moving on, she said, okay, like, you know, your doctors will get the results. I kind of thought they were going to say something to me then. And she said, you know, I'll send this over. They only do the ultrasound. So they send it over to a doctor. And then at that point, they will contact your doctor or contact you and whatever. So fast forward, I want to say maybe like a week. She said it would take about like 5 to 7 days or 3 to 5 days. And I was calling my doctor's office every day. I'm like, hey, like, did you guys get the results? Hey, did you guys get the results? And they're like, oh yeah, we see something in our files. We'll have your doctor call you. Girl, they did not call me. So I'm bawling because I'm like, I don't know, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, nobody's calling me. Girl, my mom called that office because my mom's like my best friend. So I literally tell her everything. And obviously I'm her daughter. Like, she's gonna be like, if this is a cancerous situation, like, you know, like, let's be on it. My doctor's office never called me back. Girl, my mom called that doctor's office and went off on the receptionist. Mind you, the receptionists are never able to give out your information. Girl, they put the doctor on the phone, and the doctor gave my mom the results on the phone, which is like never heard of. My mom don't play when it really gets down to it. And so they were like, we are so sorry. Like, we had no idea that she was this concerned. Like, gave my mom the results. They said they didn't really think that it was anything, but they want to see me back in the office. Okay, so if it's not anything, why don't you let me go on about my day? So this is dragging on. Like, it's been a month at this point, and I'm just like on edge. I'm not feeling good. I'm not really eating well. Like, I'm just like so nervous. I talked to a lot of my family about it, and it was just like so nerve-wracking. So I go in, and she told me, yeah, like, it, you know, they didn't really see any type of concern, but we do want to actually transfer you to, let me find the name because I have a picture and it has the name there. She basically wanted to send me over to the Pacific Skin Institution, and she actually was very concerned because it was so big. So she wanted to send me there so that I could get it removed. So at this point, I'm still kind of scared because I'm like, okay, you're telling me that it's nothing big, but you still want me to get it removed and you still want to get it tested. And when the thing is, doctors, when they really don't know what's going on, they can't really give you an answer because number one, they could be setting themselves up for failure by like instilling all this fear in you. And then they're like, oh, just kidding, it was good. So I feel like they were kind of giving me the runaround instead of kind of saying like, hey, this is what we think it might be, because I don't think they wanted to freak me out, because at this point I'm fucking crying, bawling, cussing fucking desk receptionists out and shit. Like, it's just not good at this point. So I make my appointment, and I want to say it was like a week later. Stefan had to actually take off of work this day because they were going to actually cut my skin open and take it out. So I go in. I didn't get put under. Like, they literally shot my arm up with a bunch of just kind of like numbing anesthesia, I guess you could say. And I had to sit up straight back to them. I still had to like wear all these like clothes and stuff like that because they had to keep everything sanitary. And they had to like tape off the area. They had to give me a bunch of shots, and it did feel like snake venom, but when they were taking it out, I remember there was like a lot of like scraping. It was just, oh my God, like it was not good. I just remember it was like horrifying. And I'm going to insert the picture. Like, you guys, I've showed you guys the picture of my arm, which I'm going to show again. Here's my arm. And I'm going to show you the picture of what came out of my freaking arm, you guys. This huge thing came out of my arm, and you can see right there, that's what was connected. That was like on the top. There was like a little spot on the top, and this was underneath it. Like, oh my God, when I seen that, I was like, oh my God. Like, so then I started getting even more scared because I'm like, oh my God, was it a tumor? Was it like, my mind just like went there. Like, that's huge. And basically they said that some of it was in my tendon, but because I wasn't put down, they didn't want to go inside of my tendon and start scraping or getting, you know, doing anything like that. So they took that out. They sewed me back up. I got about, I don't know how many stitches, maybe 10 to 15 stitches on my arm. Because I can count them right here. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about like 10 stitches. So I got about like 10 stitches. They had to stitch me up, and they basically said they were going to test this tumor looking thing. Okay, so I guess they said it was, when I came back, they said there was a big cluster of melanocytes, something like that. Which is a lot of cluster of melanin inside of this. So they basically said they couldn't really see the cells, so they had to bleach this. They had to bleach it so that they were able to see the cells that were inside of it to make sure it wasn't cancerous. And they were doing multiple tests at this point on it. And they basically told me when they went to go do the next tests that they had to do on it, they realized that they had over bleached this tumor or this blood clot, and they needed me to come back in after 2 weeks of healing, get my arm cut back open where my stitches were, and they wanted to go back in and scrape as much as they could out because they were really concerned. It went from, oh, it's nothing, it's just a cluster of this, it's just cartilage, to like, oh yeah, like we tested it, and like, yeah, we actually over bleached it for like the rest of the test, and we need you to actually come back in because we're actually really concerned. Oh shit. We're actually really concerned, like this thing is huge. And I'm just like, oh my God, like it was just, I just remember it was just so terrifying. And I feel like when you're a mom and you have kids, like you just, all these notions, like all these emotions, it's just so freaking crazy. And I just remember it like yesterday, like I was crying, and I still feel like I have the worst anxiety that is actually linked to this now till this day. Like any bump or lump, I swear, like I think I have cancer. Like I'm just so scared. I'm scared of my kids getting cancer, and I feel like with cancer, and it's so sad, it's something that you don't have control over. You don't have control over that, and it's just so scary. And you know, for the families that have gone through this, like my heart goes out to you. Like I couldn't imagine kids losing their moms and moms losing their kids, and you have to think about that. And I feel like the whole time I just thought about not being here with Gia and not just being able to live life here with her. And having cancer, it's like the word itself is like, people think it's like a death sentence, you know, and many people live past it, but it was just so scary. It was very scary. And I just, at this point, I knew like I had no control over this. So moving on, so I obviously say, of course, you know, I want to make sure that this isn't serious, and I want to get it all out. I want you guys to run as many tests as you can. So I come back in. This time, Stefan could not take off. He had just started a new job. So I literally had to drop. Gia was at school when I had to go get this surgery. And I had to drive, girl, with one arm on my way back because it's my left arm. So I had to drive with my right arm. And yeah, it was crazy. They ended up, again, cutting my stitches open, taking the stitches out of my arm, again, slicing me back open and scraping as much as they could. I mean, I think the first time I said I felt them scraping, it was actually this time because there was nothing left for them to take out. So they were scraping and I could feel it in my arm. I could feel the pressure, but I couldn't feel the pain because I had the anesthesia. So they ended up getting what they needed out of it, get stitched back up, go back home, and I had to wait another 2 weeks. They called me the 2 weeks later and they ended up telling me, you know, this was a melanocyte. There was like, you know, we did see melanin sites, but it was not melanoma. They said there was no sign of cancer. It was not cancerous. There was no cells in there that was cancerous. And they kind of gave me a name of what it was, which again, I don't have the paperwork anymore, so I don't really recall exactly what it was. I just remember getting the paper and it saying that it was not cancerous. And the thing is, there's so many names that they're like, this was in it, this was in it, this, like, I remember reading this paper over and over and over and over again. And you have no idea. Like, I'm not a doctor, so it was just like, even trying to act like I know or play Dr. Google, like, it was very crazy. But they explained it to me very well. It was not cancerous. And that's all I feel like I needed to hear. And I went home, and when I got home, my Nana literally came running over. At the time we were in transition, so we were at our trailer, and she came like running over to our trailer, and she like knocked on the door literally like I was at home for 5 seconds, and she's like, is it cancerous? Is it cancerous? And I'm like, it's not cancerous. Like, they told me it was not cancerous. And she just like gave me a big hug, and like, it was just freaking scary. Like, it was very scary. And I thank God it's gone. And if you have good health, don't take it for granted. That is literally, I feel like if you have good health, you have everything in life. You can get a job. You can do, if you have good health, the world is at your fingertips. And so don't take your health for granted. That's why I feel like I'm very adamant on eating well and feeding my body properly. I'm not saying that, oh my God, you're not feeding yourself well, so you got cancer, but I feel like that's what really pushed me into wanting to go toward a more non-toxic lifestyle. And even the foods that I eat, you know, preservatives and just every artificial flavors and colors and just everything that they pack, our food, our beauty, our household, everything. I've just become a lot more aware because I definitely do not take my health for granted. So that is the end of my story time, my cancer scare. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you guys for tuning in to me. I feel like after I cried, like, my emotions are so down because I'm like, wow. But Miss G is here. You want to come close out the vlog with me? Mm-hmm. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and we'll see you in the next one, you guys. Goodbye.
Bye. Peace out.